So it's Christmas time for the Dark Angels with a new model of Primaris Azrael revealed. Let's talk miniatures, releases and rules for the secretive Unforgiven. Hello and welcome and Merry Christmas here from Auspex Tactics, where today I thought I'd just take a little bit of time away from festivities to talk about a new and snazzy Space Marine. It's going to be Christmas dinner shortly after this over here. Games Workshop often do like their big Christmas reveals, and this time we've got one that we did kind of know was coming already. New Primaris Azrael, Chapter Master of the Dark Angels, and really quite a significant character within the lore of Warhammer 40k. The leader of the Unforgiven has been given a rather stylish new makeover, making him the second proper Dark Angels Primaris model that we've got so far, him after Company Master Lazarus. Overall, I think it's really quite a nice new model sculpt. It does feel very similar to the resculpts that they did for the Black Templars in the not so distant past, keeping the main theme of the model intact, but maybe updating the scale a little bit, and making it feel like a bit more of a modern miniature as opposed to a classic one. Certainly doesn't hurt to be getting a plastic kit as well, as opposed to fine cast resin. So the miniature today was revealed in a Warhammer community preview. They do have a bit of a history of revealing some cool stuff on Christmas Day. I think the previous 2 years, each time we've got a Versus box set. It was Piety and Pain and the Eldritch Omens ones the one before. I was wondering whether we might get something like that today, but it does look like it could just be this one character miniature. Not gonna lie, I was perhaps kind of hoping for something like a Space Marines vs World Eaters box or something like that, but a new fun sculpt of any sort is kind of cool, I guess. On the Warhammer community preview, they have a nice diorama of him set up in a whole bunch of snow, and they have the announcement, "I'm coming for you, Luther, in the name of the Lion," doing what Dark Angels are known best for, hunting down their fallen, treacherous counterparts, I suppose. If there is any sort of progression in that entire Dark Angels narrative, I think that there was a previous story where Luther escaped from the Rock, and is supposedly massing an army of fallen elsewhere in the galaxy somewhere, so it'll be interesting if it comes along any sort of lore progression alongside that. Not sure if this whole thing is going to be tied up alongside Arcs of Omen. We know that Azrael is going to be featuring in at least one of those Arcs of Omen books. It seems to be a series of 4 campaign books to round out 9th edition. We've got the first one on Abaddon, then Angron, then one on Bastor, that new Chaos God of the Forge, and from the preview video that they had Azrael's model in a blurry picture fighting Vastor. The lore section from that book had the Rock besieged, so presumably Vastor and his minions are going to be taking the fights to the Dark Angels in some way. From the picture it looked like he was wielding an allied force of Chaos Demons and Black Legionnaires. Going to be kind of fun to find out what the whole narrative around the Arcs of Omen thing is. They've only really given us teasers that Abaddon and Vastor are out there and looking for something. No doubt a good excuse for a lot of the factions to have various different battles with each other, I guess. In any case, turning attention back to the actual new model today, Azrael's sculpt I think does look quite nice. I guess we already knew the basic setup of it from the blurry leaked picture, very much keeping the same sort of pose and style of the model to the original miniature, but a bit upscaled to the Primaris scale, plus some very fancy and nicely detailed robes. His back banner has survived the transformation, it would seem, the styling very similar to the last one, and he wields his Sword of Secrets in his right hand and the Lion's Wrath combi plasma in the other. Kind of wonder whether it might get any sort of updated boosted stats and things. The combi plasma maybe looks a little bit more new and Primaris style. Kind of interesting as we haven't really seen all that many combi weapons for the Primaris so far. He's keeping a similar sort of pose to the last one, maybe looking a bit more like he's directing his fellow Dark Angels as opposed to just branching his sword into the sky maybe. The previous model had a Watcher in the dark. This one appears to have folded the Watcher into the same base as the model, maybe having a bit of a similar feel of High Marshal Helbrecht for the Black Templars, who was almost a chapter master with a mini little diorama going on there too. Looks like there's the helmet of a fallen Dark Angel on the base as well, just glinting away over on the right. A bit of angelic wing and some black armor of the Dark Angel's Heresy era color scheme. I think perhaps one of the coolest parts of the model is that he's got the option to either have the lion helm carried by the Watcher as it was on the previous model, or you can actually put it on him. Always feels a little bit sad when a model has the option of really quite fancy helmets but no option to put them on the model, so I feel like that's going to be a detail that's going to be quite nice to customise the model how you want it to be. Price and release wise, I'd guess he might be around the £30, €40 or $50 mark, same as High Marshal Helbrecht to the Black Templars. He feels like he's just got a little bit more of a big fancy diorama going on than Azrael perhaps, so it's not impossible Azrael could be a little bit cheaper. That would be my guess though, as he does look like he's on quite a big base and has the bonus Watcher on the base as well. In terms of releases, obviously we don't really know very much at the moment. Judging by the last year Christmas previews, I think that Eldritch Omens was early February. I'd guess that judging by the Arcs of Omen series, he might well be dropping alongside the third book if he's featured in it. So I'd probably guess late February or early March if I had to just make an estimate. Obviously we don't know on that front though. Games Workshop will certainly update us near the time, I've got no doubt. We do have a few more pictures of the model as well. You can see how he can swap out his lion helm for the scabbard of the sword. He can give his little friendly Watcher of the Dark the option for carrying either of them, and he does look kind of cool with a great big winged helm. I think given the previous model, I think both of them look pretty awesome to be honest, either helmeted or non-helmeted, and the other bit carried by the Watcher. Here's also a picture of him compared with the previous miniature as well. A much bigger and chunkier base, and I guess model in general. The banner does maybe feel a little bit more in proportion with him. It was kind of dominating the miniature on the last one. You can't help but think that his back might be aching a bit and it might be limiting his mobility. I think it'd be interesting to see whether or not Azrael gets some new rules as well. I feel like most of the characters, when they were updated to Primaris, do get a new datasheet in one form or another. Whether Games Workshop gives us a digital one or just rules in the box or something, though, might be another question. Currently in game, I must admit Azrael is a pretty awesome character right now. 160 points, and he does an awful lot as a focal point for the army. Of course, as a Space Marine Chapter Master, he's no slouch in melee. Hitting on 2s, he's got a 2+ armor save, and 5 attacks with a Sword of Secrets at strength 6, damage 2, and extra mortal wounds. Lion's Wrath Combi Plasma certainly isn't terrible as well. Could well offer light infantry or 2 if he rolls well. Really though, I think it's his command abilities that set him apart. He gets Chapter Master style rerolls, which is always nice for a unit. A 2 command point bonus if he's your Warlord as well. Fairly nice in the command point limited environment of Nephilim, and sounds like Arcs of Omen will be the same. He's got a 4+ invul from the Lion Helm, which comes out as an aura, a really quite unique character buff for the Space Marines, and it means that their bikes and things will be hard to take out. A single Psychic Denial with that Watcher, and also the Inner Circle keyword for transhuman physiology, meaning that he's kinda hard to kill there as well. Even his Warlord trait is pretty helpful to be honest, allowing a bit of doctrine manipulation, and it's not a bad choice to have standing behind a Deathwing battle line perhaps. With an updated Primaris profile, I feel like he's already probably got enough stuff going for him to make you want to include him in an army. Getting the Primaris keyword wouldn't hurt though, nor would an extra attack and wound. That often seems to be the way when they give these guys updated models. Overall, a pretty cool miniature release. Will be interesting to see if they follow this up with a more wide release for Dark Angels. They're going to be updated to Primaris at some point, and there's every chance that it could be sometime in 10th edition, whether or not it's fairly soon or fairly late. Could always be a precursor to the Lion returning as well, if the rumours that he's going to be coming back do turn out to be accurate. In any case, let me know your thoughts on the model down in the comments below. Otherwise, an absolutely massive thank you to watching. Hope you guys all have an absolutely great Christmas out there, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.